The first time I saw him, he was sitting in the hallway of my apartment building, covering his face with his hands and pulling up his legs as if trying to shrink. I walked past him with my suitcase, hand luggage, which should have been enough for me for 3 days, but it was only enough for a couple of hours. I missed my flight, and there was no point in waiting for another one, because there won't be another one until tomorrow. I missed the most important speakers at the conference. I might as well have gone home, which I did. I was putting the key in the lock when the stranger looked up. His eyes were bloodshot. It made me very worried. "Don't," was all he said. "Don't you need to? Don't go there." I stared at him for a moment, trying to figure out if he was some kind of homeless pervert. But it was impossible. He was well dressed and his hair was neatly combed, a little too long. But it seemed intentional. Why not? It's simple. Just don't do it. "Do you need me to call someone?" I asked, trying not to sound alarmed. This guy was starting to piss me off. No. Then okay. I turned the lock, turned the door handle, and turned my life upside down by entering my apartment. I stopped dead in my tracks, my heart pounding. Oh my God, a woman's voice. "So good, baby," Damien purred. I knew that voice. He was making love to someone, but that someone wasn't me, his fiancée. I felt my insides tighten as if someone had led me to a cliff and thrown me off the top, telling me to go to hell on the way down. I left the apartment, rolled out my suitcase, closed the front door, and leaned against it, breathing heavily. "I told you not to go in there," the stranger said with a tense expression on his face. He was crying. "Is that your girlfriend there?" I asked, swallowing hard. Maybe I was going to cry too. Actually, the wife. It sucks," I said and slid to the floor, leaning back against, the front door. I didn't think I could handle it. "Your husband?" "The groom," I said, sighing. "Yes, I'll have to cancel the wedding." "Lucky. I'm canceling this fucking wedding." "That's right. That's how I feel right now." I snapped. "Lucky. Have you already paid for the wedding?" I looked at him at how stupidly, infuriatingly he looked like Damien. His hair was black, his night. His eyes were sparkling blue, and I felt sick. "Yeah, this sucks," he said, and then looked down at his hands as if he expected them to tell him what to do. "I'm a Hudson, like a river, cat, like an animal. Short for Catherine?" "Wow, you're such a good guesser," I said sarcastically. "You're evil," he said, and I saw him smile a little. I didn't want to smile, but a smile appeared on my lips anyway. I smiled like a pathetic fucking idiot. I smiled at this stranger whose wife was making love to my fiancé. "Nothing evil," I said, laughing, because it was such a lie. "I can be mean. Sometimes I can be an absolute fool. It's all right. I like mean girls." Nobody likes mean girls. To me, our eyes met. He didn't look as upset as he did when I first saw him in the hall, but it still seemed like the worst day of his life. "How long have you known?" He looked over my shoulder at the door. "A few days. So you've had some time to digest this." Hudson shrugged, looking down at his hands again. "Actually, I don't think I've digested it. I still don't know if I now believe it. Well, I heard them. If I were you, I'd start to believe that." His brows drew together. "I'm trying." I sighed. "I'll have to call a bunch of sellers." Hudson nodded. "Do you think you'll get your money back?" "Maybe a little. I'm used. But most of them demand huge payment for termination of their contracts. When is the wedding scheduled?" "In 4 months. May 20th. "Well, the florists should be easy to cancel. Those flowers haven't even grown yet." "That's a good point," I said, leaning my head against the door. "Maybe she'll feel sorry for me." "Yes, maybe." I turned to look at Hudson. "Are you going to get a divorce?" He continued to look at his hands. His gaze was so intense that for a moment I imagined him as Superman with laser beams piercing his eyes. He had dark hair, blue eyes, and broad shoulders, so he definitely suited the role. "Yes," he said softly. "I'm sorry." Those intense eyes flashed. "Don't say that," I frowned. "Why?" "I'm not allowed to have any regrets about my shitty fiancé." "No," Hudson said. "It's not your fault." "I didn't say that." "Then don't apologize." "Damn it," I muttered. "I'm just trying to be sympathetic." He cocked his head to the side, giving me a look that I couldn't quite read. "I'm sorry that my wife is making love to your fiancé." My heart felt like it had just been squeezed too hard. "Okay, the remark is accepted. I'm not sorry. To hell with both of them. It's more like the truth." I hugged my knees. "What are you doing just sitting here, Hudson? Do you want to catch her leaving the apartment?" He shook his head. "I just wanted to confirm my suspicions. I didn't have a plan." "Then why are you still here?" You're letting her ruin such a beautiful day. Go for a walk, clear your head, get out of here, and call a lawyer or someone. I was going to leave, but then a woman named Kat showed up. And now I kind of want to know what she's doing. My cheeks warm slightly. She's so boring. His eyes started to mine. I don't know. I think she's quite interesting. You don't know that. You don't know anything about her. I know she's mean and mean. That made me smile again. Yes, I think she is. Hudson held my gaze, smiling back at me. Looking at him, I wondered how anyone could be so stupid as to cheat on him. He was sitting there in a simple t-shirt and jeans, but he looked really, really damn good. The way he tucked in those clothes was, well, that's very nice. A blush bloomed on my cheeks as we stared at each other. It's a pity that we had to meet like this, he said. Is that right? It's literally the worst way to meet a guy. He grinned, flashing a perfect set of teeth. How old are you, Hudson? To you, his gaze lingered on my face. What are you doing, Kat? I work on insurance cases. It sounds boring. I snorted. You have no idea. I have a boring job, too. Oh, yeah? What do you do? I'm a librarian. I laughed. He stared back at me, completely serious. Wait, really? He nodded. Indeed. This? Okay, don't laugh, but it's pretty, beautiful. He laughed anyway. No, it's not like that. No, listen to me. I said, you're a handsome librarian. Do you think I'm handsome? I resisted the urge to roll my eyes. Don't act like you don't know you're attractive. I don't know, Kat. I was too busy looking at you. Okay, everything is smooth. The heat crept up the back of my neck. Yes, I said stupidly. Yes, and please feel free to call me a pig if you want. But you're really, really fucking beautiful, Kat. You have such a sultry, mysterious aura around you. Your fiancé is a fucking idiot. Thanks, I said, then added, pig. Hudson chuckled. I like you. I crawled over to him, leaving my suitcase by the door. Do you want to get drunk? Here? Why not? We don't have any alcohol. I'll come in and get some, I said, and already made a move to get up. His hand reached out and closed around my wrist, gently pulling me back. Don't, he said, and got to his feet. I'll get it. Where's the alcohol? Well, is this such a good idea? I asked, looking up at him. Don't you want to kill him? They deserve each other, he said coldly. There is a wine fridge in the kitchen in front of the dishwasher. I'll be right back, he said, and carefully opened the front door. About a minute later, he returned with 2 bottles of wine. Why don't you have anything but wine? What is it? He asked, unscrewing the wrapper from the bottle. He started to take off his shoe. I think we only like wine, I said, looking at him warily. Why are you taking off your shoes? Correction, he said, stuffing the neck of the bottle into his shoe. Shoe in the singular. I only need one to open the wine. I tell you where the corkscrew is. But you didn't, he said, and slammed his boot against the wall. The cork popped out. Impressive, I said. He handed the bottle of wine to me, taking another bottle and opening it the same way. Your health. We clinked our wine bottles and drank. He had been drinking much longer than I had, red wine trickling down the corner of his mouth. When he finished, he drank half of the bottle. You don't have much here. Something, I said, pointing at his chin. He wiped it off with the back of his hand and suddenly smiled at me. Are you feeling better? I asked, amused. Yes, he sighed and added, no. Then he laughed. I think I need to drink as much as you do to be happy. I'm not happy. I don't care. Kat, don't you care that your wife is making love to my fiancé? And you? I was drinking, and I drank and drank and drank until half the bottle was in my stomach. Then I answered, no. I guess I don't care either, although I really kind of want revenge. How can we take revenge on them? I really don't know, he said, and put on a thoughtful expression. It was pretty sweet. What does she hate? She hates it when I wear this shirt, he said, but I didn't see anything wrong with that. A Star Wars t-shirt. Not exactly revenge, in my honest opinion. Okay, well, we're definitely not going to ruin her fucking day with your shirt. I said, let's do something terrible to even the score. A second passed when his gaze met mine. His gaze was intense, almost disarming. I knew what he was going to say even before he said it, but hearing it sent goosebumps. Through my body anyway. You mean what they're doing right now? Hudson and I quietly made our way into the apartment, undressing in the hallway. Is this a good idea? I whispered. No, he replied in a low voice and brought his lips close to mine, kissing me against the wall. As for the first kisses, wow, this one jumped right to the top. He kissed me like I was the most desirable woman in the world, like he needed me to literally breathe with him. He had a taste of wine and bad decisions, but I didn't really care because it was a situation of wine and bad decisions. We collapsed on the couch, Hudson River. I felt the power of his presence, as if he were a river with which he shared a name. His arms were powerful, covered with muscles. He was handsome, and I couldn't understand why anyone would cheat on a man like him. But at that moment, I definitely wasn't complaining. He was mine to enjoy, at least for now. It didn't take me long to get completely naked. All our movements were hurried, but it had nothing to do with the fact that our partners were in another room. Something about the way Hudson looked at me told me that he wanted this because he wanted me. It wasn't just about revenge. I have no idea how old this thing is. This should work, I said, holding my breath. Are you sure? He asked. Please, Hudson, I need you. God, you're so perfect, he said. We both let out a groan of satisfaction. Our eyes meeting. It's a terrible idea, he said. It just felt so damn good. I don't care, I said. I was dizzy with desire. I was so damn close to going over the edge. Hudson River, a woman's voice screamed. We turned around and saw a thin, long-legged, red-haired girl standing in the doorway. Her wild, curly hair was in a mess, and she was wearing my silk robe. Hi, Lydia, Hudson said casually. Her mouth dropped open in shock. Damien appeared in the doorway, wearing a pair of boxers that he probably barely had time to put on. He was watching what was happening. His mouth opened when he saw me. Kat, fuck you, I said. The wedding is off, Damien. We're done. Now wait a minute, Kat. Who the hell is this guy? Damien pointed at Hudson. My husband, Lydia said, still shaken. How? Why? Lydia's eyes filled with tears. Hudson, I can explain. Why don't you get out of my apartment? Instead, I suggested from under her husband. And you get out too, Damien, I said. Wait, is this your husband? Damien pointed at Hudson. Lydia wiped her cheeks and nodded. Get out, I repeated. Both of you. Right now, Kat. Damien tried again, but Hudson cut him off. You heard what the lady said. Pack up your stuff and leave, or I'll beat the loving shit out of you. Damien was a young Leo, DiCaprio type. He was thin, a little thin, and not very tall, but he could usually make up for it with his pretty face. But the Hudson, he was easily a head taller than him and built like a real fucking superhero. He could beat the loving shit out of Damien without wincing. They're gone. We grabbed our clothes and other stuff, and 3 minutes later, Hudson's wife and my fiancé were outside the door. I like it when you're angry, Hudson said, smiling down at me. I wrapped my arms around his neck, looking into his beautiful blue eyes, and decided that I liked it too. Would it be mean of me to ask you to repeat it? Repeat it? Yes. I'm still wet and you're mad. Still hard, so I guess we have everything we need for that. Hudson laughed and kissed me. We'll have as many repeats as you want. Cat, like an animal. Perfect. The Hudson is like a river. Then we did exactly that, but not to even the score. We did it because we wanted to. Because we could. Over the next couple of hours, I learned what a librarian who looks strikingly like Superman is capable of, and showed him that sneaky insurance agents are not as prime as they seem. When it was all over, we looked into each other's eyes and we both understood. The end of our relationship was the beginning of a new one.